also helps us to it also helps us to make ourselves more efficient. It also helps us to increase our portfolio, but always with, I am quite sure that our microfinance institutions, because I'm in this segment for long years and I have seen that the microfinance institutions are well-meaning institutions. Microfinance institutions are really supporting it. The philosophy may be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, all of them, they are supporting our these clients. And this initiative of us, the presentation of legality on the automation is one of those efforts that how can we adopt this one with all responsibility, with all human touch. So we do have our colleagues from legality. They would, I request them to introduce themselves. Over to legality.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for that great introduction. Would just want to recap again. There are a few people who are not on mute. So if you could mute, we'll definitely have an open question and answer session at the end. We try to wrap up our entire session / demo within 30 to 35 minutes so that we have ample time for questions. If you could just mute till then, and if you have questions that come up in the middle, please ask them in the chat box. Before I start, two things. One, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are.
And second, just a small engagement exercise, just to give us an idea of where the audience is from. If you can just put what vertical or department name you are from in your respective organization while I start, you can just drop that in the chat box. It'll just give us a good idea and give you guys also a good idea about who else is there on this call. Let me start sharing my screen. I hope you're able to see my deck on screen.
Yes, we can see.
Great. So I'm Aditya, Director of Marketing at Leegality. Today I'm joined by Supriya and Prateek, our Associate Director and Director of Sales, as well as Sa-Dhan, who's our Director of Product. All of them have played a key role in facilitating digital transformation in terms of paperwork for MFIs. Most of the clients you see on screen, Prateek and Supriya, have been involved in some way. So really, we have the experts on call today. I'm going to spend about 8 minutes setting context, what exactly the problem of paperwork is, and what MFIs often miss when looking and evaluating the problem. Second, the exact way in which legality solves this problem. And three, the ways in which the tool, how legality is different, right? And after this 8 minutes, you will have a very clear idea of whether something like this is something you would be interested in at all. After that 8 minutes, we'll dive into the product and showcase the basic legality flow for MFIs, as well as showing 2 new features that we're launching for the first time today, right? One is Aadhaar first and the other is Aadhaar face sign. So you are the first public audience to be able to see these features, and we think they're highly relevant for MFIs. So bringing you back to the logos here, meanwhile, I think someone has just scribbled on the screen. If we can get that erased, let me also try. Okay, work. Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, it works. Okay. Bringing you back to the logos here, right? MFIs of all shapes and sizes. In fact, since we last made this slide, I think 3 or 4 MFIs have come on board, and we're probably missing their logos here. We help these MFIs digitally transform document execution from creation of templates, stamping via revenue stamp, signing, consent collection, secure storage, document fraud prevention, a bunch of other things that we'll show you on the call. We work with them on a wide variety of use cases and documents, but this session, of course, will be heavily JLG document focused. I want to just put it out there that legality can be used to digitize document execution for 100% of other document use cases as well. So if you don't see a document type on this list, it's okay. You can still use legality to digitize this, right? So something you all know, there are 2, what's the problem exactly, right? There are 2 broad flows that we've seen from our work in MFIs when it comes to paperwork. One is, of course, the most common one, the branch-led model, where you may do group education on the field. You may liaise with the customer on the field, but the disbursal still happens via a branch visit, paperwork still happens via a branch visit, right? And this is the most common flow. The second flow, a much rarer flow, but still happens, is a field-led flow where the interactions happen on the ground, the paperwork happens on the ground. Right, here document execution usually happens on the field rather than at the branch. We've seen Leegality works well for both types of flows, right? But really, what's the issue with these two flows that I'm showing you here, right? We often look at paperwork, and rightfully so, as, okay, it's a cost problem, right? The cost of printing, the cost of storage, the cost of transport, right? But here's where I think many microfinance institutions stop their assessment of the problem at this direct cost level, right? And I want to just say that that's just a part of the story, right? The real problems that this paperwork process, by running physical paperwork process, is much deeper, right? First, you have the problem of time and delays. Today, a disbursal takes 90 minutes to 2 hours on average, based on our study of our clients. For a borrower group at a branch in the physical paperwork process. This is a big issue because it essentially sets a cap of how many disbursals you can do in one day, purely because of the paper jam that is caused at the branch level, at the center level, right? So this delay reduces your MFI's potential to grow. Second is a problem for the customer, wait lines at the branch, needing a copy of the loan agreement, feeling comfortable with the process. I don't think you'll find a single customer that actually says, I like or enjoy this paperwork process. Third is the problem for your employees. We have seen, again, that in the physical process, branch center officers spend about 2 hours daily doing mundane paperwork tasks like printing, preparing the documentation, etc. Right? This is time, 2 hours a day, that they could have been spent doing core work like, say, origination, collections, customer service, right? So essentially, this potential of employees in MFIs is cut short by paperwork. And finally, there is, of course, direct costs. There's compliance costs because of how physical paperwork is easy to get lost, easy for fraud. And of course, the environmental costs. So if you see, apart from direct costs, there are these massive other costs that have really big impact on the way your MFI functions. You cannot measure them on a profit and loss statement. But if you see that tangible impact, it's clear that this process has much larger costs than just the direct measurable costs, right? So the MFIs above, right, that I showed you on the first slide, had these same problems. Some of them are in fact on this call today. And all the MFIs above are at varying stages of their implementation. They adopted Leegality document infrastructure. Now, what this is the agenda of this webinar, right? Their flow essentially is now a simple 3-part process. There may be an extra step if there's extra security features and things like that. But the key is we take the complex process, the messy process, and turn it into a very simple, elegant process, right? And the return on investment, this process I showed you above, we will show it to you in about 4-5 minutes in the demo. I don't want to harp on this slide. We'll actually show you the product. Just wanted to talk about the return on investment that clients see when they streamline and digitize their paperwork process through Leegality, right? So it's not just a few crore savings per year, right? We allow you to disburse more loans per day, making your MFI grow faster. We in fact have a case study that we will share with all attendees of this call. After this call, we'll share it with Sa-Dhan, and they can share it with you, of IIFL Samasta, who has seen faster loan disbursals purely because of this process change. 2, we give your customers a smooth and paper-free experience. Right now, if you adopt this, you will have a competitive advantage for your customers. In a few years, this Leegality standard will become the norm of how paperwork is done. It will become the standard. So you will be forced to do it in a few years if you do not want to lose customers, right? And third, we give your staff their day back, right? So for the first time ever, every branch, every center in every MFI that uses Leegality will have an extra 2 hours per day productive time in a branch. What you want to do with that is completely your choice. And finally, of course, compliance, cost savings, and environmental friendliness. You can't put these things on a profit and loss statement, but they are real tangible benefits. All right. So we tried to put a number to this. We tried to put a number to these unmeasurable things in conjunction with many of our clients. We've done 2 ROI studies so far. One is for an MFI with a AUM of 2000 plus CR. For every 1 rupee they put in Leegality, they got a return of about 20 rupees back if you look at all the benefits and try to put a monetary value to that, right? For an MFI with 500 crore AUM, for every 1 rupee they put in, they got a return of 73 rupees. We'll be happy to share the methodology. We'll be happy to do a similar study and a similar projection for you if you connect with us one-on-one. For this webinar, it will take too long if we just dive deep into this, right? But the key is there are exponential benefits that you are foregoing if you do not do this process. There are exponential benefits you will get if you dive fully deep into this digital paperwork process. It's what your customers want. It's the way the standard is being created in the market, right? So before we get to the demo, in most of our customers, they already had a tool that, okay, I have something that does e-sign somewhere in my organization. Let me just use that for this process, right? We found that all our customers had it, but they came to Leegality when you wanted to scale, right? That's the radical difference at the core. Simple e-sign is not enough. For actual scalability, you need what we call document infrastructure, digital tools for every aspect of the process, right? For example, simple e-sign API will take care of basic affixture of the sign, things that were available 5-6 years back also, right? When it comes to e-sign, we look at it infrastructurally. So we offer 15 plus types that you can give to your customers. We have built-in business continuity. So on the field, when you're doing thousands of volumes a day, if some connection goes down, UID, AI or Aadhaar, ESP connection, we seamlessly switch to a backup, right? So that you can continue at 100% business continuity. Implementation, right? A lot of these other tools, they'll give you the software and say, you figure out how to scale with it. We actually provide you expert teams and we provide you services to ensure you meet your internal deadlines. Third, biometric signing, very common, very popular mode of sign in the industry. We have the first SDKs in the market for biometric sign specifically, and the first backup connections to ensure business continuity. Fourth, fraud prevention. Digital processes throw up fraud avenues and vulnerabilities. We've got you covered. We'll show you a lot of these features on call. Fifth, DPNs. Last year, a law was passed, means that you could digitally execute DPNs legally. But until your revenue stamp is digital, you can't really do that, right? So a lot of MFIs are forced into physical leg of the process because of DPN. We've invented India's first digital revenue stamping, which again, we'll show you on the demo. Final two things, local languages. RBI's Fair Practices Code requires everything in local language, not just the document. Plus field force customers just prefer things in their local language. So we bridge this gap with a local language interface, which Supriya will show you on call. Last two issues, right? MFI site signing. We have automated signer that actually enables you to put your MFI signatures on the document, something which MFIs don't usually do because it's such a cumbersome process. Without any manual intervention, you can do it. Again, we'll show you that on demo. And finally, the entire purpose of documents is audits and regulation. So if you can't use this platform for that, then really everything else in the flow is useless, right? So that's why we've developed a state-of-the-art audit trail that is actually compliant with the Evidence Act and is going to make your audits, your enforcement very, very easy. Again, something we'll show you in the demo. So let's move on to the demo. But before I move on to the demo, there's a part of this demo where we show you things about configuring Leegality and integration of Leegality. If you are with the softwares that I'm showing you on screen right now, we have already pre-integrated with these softwares. That means you do not have to put any integration effort if you are already live with these softwares that I'm showing you on screen. We're constantly adding to this partner ecosystem of Leegality. So if you use any of these softwares, we've already done a pre-integration. So using Leegality or integrating with Leegality would be simply like flicking a switch. All right. So that is a brief overview of the paperwork problem, how we try and solve it, and some facts about Leegality. I don't want to bore you with more talk. Let's show you how this process actually looks and actually works. With that, I'll hand it over to Supriya.
Thank you, Aditya, for the detailed introduction. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's so good to have you all on this seminar, on the webinar on streamlining MFI with Leegality. So, yeah, I'll be basically demonstrating everything related to document infrastructure and execution, right from the document accumulation to delivery of the digitally signed document within few minutes. Everything will be covered in my demo. And also the most interesting part we'll be unveiling the latest features that we are going to launch today. These features are particularly very significant when it comes to MFI flows, because it is actually curated from the feedbacks that we've received from our clients, right? From they work on the ground, they know what are the challenges that they face, and we keep on evolving a product, adding to the product line by incorporating all those features. So very excited to demonstrate those features to you. It's one of its kind, and I'm sure it'll be very instrumental to enhance your digital flow even more. Without any further delay, let me share my screen. Yeah. Is the screen visible? Okay. So this is the sandbox environment. Let's assume that we are going to start everything from the scratch. We are the newly onboarded customer with Leegality, and we want to structure our MFI flow in a way that we'll be able to use this portal as soon as possible, right? So the first step that we do is we have credentials created. We log into the account. This is how the account's homepage will look like, right? Here you will see all the activities that has happened till date, the invitations made, the signs completed, the documents completed, all the activities logged. But our idea is to automate, to digitize your current paperwork flow, correct? So like Aditya just explained in his last slide, if you're already having those software that we are partnered with, like Craft Silicon, Chayam, FinPage, Twinline, then FinFlux, Nelito, etc. If you're already on them, it's just a play and plug mechanism for you. All you have to do is log into your dashboard, create a workflow, and then just run your processes here. So yeah, for the same, I'll be taking you to the workflow section. What is workflow? Before I start even constructing a workflow, let me give you an example of what workflow does and why it is important. So when we started creating more flows, we found the importance of organizing the flow in a way that it is very easy for everybody in the company to do it. We don't have to rely on the tech team for this. It's a one-time setup which can be done by anyone and everyone in the team, right? So even the operations team, credits team, anyone. It's just there are just 3 steps that you have to take and create a digital twin of your physical process. So ideally in the physical process, what we do is we accumulate the document, we create the document, we affix the revenue stamp one by one, and then we send it to the customers. The branch manager will assist them to sign the document wherever it is necessary. And then the document will be couriered back to the headquarters for storage, or it will be sent to the members also, right? A copy of it will be sent to the members. So that's the physical process. What we are going to do is we are going to organize it in a workflow and we'll make a digital twin of it. So here you can see the existing workflows that I've already created. For the demo purposes, let's start everything from ground zero. So I'll name this flow as MFI flow, right? I will save this. So like I said, the creation of workflow is pretty simple. First things first, we will start with adding the document or accumulating the documents. So you can either move ahead with a PDF approach or a template approach. Most of the customers who are live with us for the MFI, they have the PDF. And you can merge all the documents that you see. The typical documents in the JLG ecosystem is the loan application form, the agreement form, DPNs, insurance forms, GRT documents, right? All those documents, with the help of our multi-PDF merger feature, you can share all those documents here, upload it up to 10 files, up to 15 MB, and you will be able to send merge these and send one single document for your customer. So your customer just needs to sign once and the entire document will be signed. So this is one of the problems that we saw, multiple pages to be signed multiple times. So with this feature, you will be able to sign once. I'll select a couple of documents that I have here, and this will be later merged. Right on the same page, we can see there is a use revenue stamp option. So Leegality also provides a avenue where you can digitize your revenue stamping as well. You don't have to affix it one by one anymore. You can save on that time and efforts of your employees. What you have to do is just enable this in the workflow, pre-procure the revenue stamps from us. Once you place this order with us, we then in turn stick it to a A4 size paper, print a 2-liner legend on it to deface the stamp paper. Traditionally, we either sign cross the DPN, the revenue stamp, or maybe write something on it or deface it as per laws, right? The similar activity will be outsourced to Leegality. We'll be doing it for you, right? And once it is done, we'll digitize it and store it in your inventory. Here in the drop down, all you can see is your inventory. Once this scanning and digitizing is done, we send back the physical copies to your HQ. So that's the process of digitizing revenue stamp in a nutshell. While configuring the workflow, you can also decide how many revenue stamps do you want to affix. This depends totally on your process, depending upon the number of members you have, or maybe one revenue stamp per document. So I'll configure one revenue stamp. I've selected the revenue stamp here. I am done with document creation, right? So similar process can be replicated for template. If you have a standard document, you can share those documents with us. We'll templatize it and make it available on your dashboard. All you have to do is then pass on the dynamic fields which are empty. But PDF is what most of our MFIs do. Moving on, I'll just click on next. The second step is where all the magic happens. All the invitee related configurations has to be done in the second step. Everything from the signature type to what advanced security features you're taking, everything is decided on and customized on this particular page. So in MFIs, we usually see that the group size is from anywhere 3 to 25, 3 to 20, right? So you can decide while configuring the workflow if you want to send the links for signing all at once or one by one, right? This is where you can enable the request signing order if you want to send one by one. You can also keep your business teams or credit teams, or if you are a business correspondent for any bank or MFI or small finance bank, if you want to keep them in loop, you can very well make use of a CC functionality. They'll receive the notifications or completely signed document once the document is signed, right? Moving on to the invitee configurations. Here, you see there's an add invitee button. Depending upon the number of invitees that you have, depending upon the members who are going to sign the document, you can add in number of invitees. For the demo purposes, I'll just add 3 invitees. The first one will be the applicant, second one will be co-applicant or the guarantor or the spouse. Third one will be a countersign from the company. So we'll get onto the configuration of each one of it as we reach to their turn. Yeah, so let's move on with the feature which we've developed for MFI specifically, the most relevant ones, starting with the local language support. So Aditya did touch base on this as to how local language support is supremely important when it comes to the MFI sector. Not only does it meet the RBI Fair Practices Code, but also it gives a much needed comfort cushion to the MFI sector or the customers, right? These are the women who want to know what is happening, and during the assisted journey, when the branch manager is also explaining them, they will also get a comfort if they know, if they can read what is actually happening. The consent is also recorded in the local language. I'll show you how the consent look like, how the entire journey will look like during the signing flow. So I just selected allow signers to select the language. Once I've selected this feature, let's move on and discuss the signature type. So we have around 15 different signature types specifically made for different sectors. For MFI, we've seen Aadhaar and secure virtual sign being widely used. The reason being, these are the individuals that we are looking at, and they'll be easily able to sign using this particular e-signs, right? For the first signature, let's configure an Aadhaar signature. We have 4 different types of Aadhaar signature. What is Aadhaar signature? It's a digital signature that you do using your Aadhaar number, right? We must have encountered this signature at least once. If not, today is the time when you see the demo, right? But there are 4 types. Actually, there were just 3 types of Aadhaar e-sign. Today, we are launching the 4th type, that is the face capture. Biometric, iris, and OTP has been widely used, and biometric being the hero of this process. All these signatures were at least dependent on one or the other factor. Like OTP is dependent upon your phone number to be linked with your Aadhaar number. Biometric and iris are dependent upon the devices that has to be procured. But face capture is going to be a game changer because of the fact is there is no minimum requirement. You don't need a device. You don't need OTP to be linked, your phone number to be linked with your Aadhaar number. All you need is an Android phone, and you can do your face authentication using Aadhaar, right? So that is something that we are going to launch. This is one challenge that we saw across our clientele, where there was some requirement wherein, in case as a backup, they wanted something like a face capture. So we are pleased to launch this. We'll discuss this in detail when Sa-Dhan will demonstrate the particular feature. Now moving on to verify details. Again, one of the widely talked about challenge currently is the manipulations of Aadhaar card. So we've also heard about cases, and most of our clients have solved that problem using this particular features, where the members have submitted Aadhaar with manipulations, where they've used their children's Aadhaar card to obtain credit, and they've not been able to successfully use it because they got up in this particular by using this particular feature, where we'll be able to match the details that you have at hand, like the name of the customer or the year of birth or the last 4 digits of the Aadhaar number, match it with the details that we get from UIDAI after the signing is done. If the details match, then the signing will successfully happen. If it doesn't, the signing will not happen. This is where you will know that the details are incorrectly given or submitted, and then you can act upon it. So this has again been a game changer feature for the MFI sector. So for now, I'll just enable the verify name and smart name verification for myself. I'll save this. So we've discussed Aadhaar e-sign. In the next time, in the next invitee, I'll talk about virtual. Moving on to the more options. More options decides the mode of communication. It also decides additional security features. It also talks about the additional options that we have. So Leegality provides you the depth for exploring multiple options. In the interest of time, I'll just touch base on the most relevant and widely used ones. So yeah, depending upon the target audience, we generally trigger SMS notifications and not rely on email notifications because of the obvious reason that they may not have access to emails. But we've recently launched WhatsApp pings as well. So particularly for this demo, I would like to showcase how the link gets delivered on the WhatsApp as well. So I will enable send WhatsApp notification. I will enable send SMS notification. Also, this entire journey can happen through SDKs. So you can, if you have an app, if your LOS has an app, you can do it as a unified flow without relying on any mode of communication. It can be a single flow, right? Moving on to the advanced security measures. Here you see we can capture the GPS location and face capture. The need for advanced security measures, if you ask me, we've also encountered multiple requests from our clients saying that we want to ensure that the branch manager is not signing on behalf of the customer. How do you ensure that? You can capture the real-time picture of the customer, right? And that gets reflected in the audit trail. So that acts as an additional evidence when it comes to e-signing. We can also capture the GPS location of the customer to ensure that they are signing from the place where we want them to, right? You can enable the GPS location and face capture. I would also talk briefly about the feature that we are going to discuss in detail, that's called geofencing. It's another additional feature that we've developed. We'll speak about it. It's a unique feature in its own. So we'll take our time and speak about it in detail. This is where you can enable those features as well, right? I will just save this configuration. Moving on to the next invitee. Here again, you can configure the signature type as per your need. You can keep Aadhaar and use all these 4 options, or you can also use our secure virtual sign. Please note all the signatures that Leegality is providing are 100% compliant and valid for all the contracts that you're doing. So secure virtual sign also acts like a signature, electronic signature, wherein you can just use it as a digital representation of your pen and paper signature. Right now, how you scribble on your paper, similarly, by using virtual sign, you can draw on your smartphones, or you can affix your fingerprint image using biometric device, or allow a sign upload where you can sign on a piece of paper, then click a picture of it and simply upload it. So this is very handy when the customer is uncomfortable in signing the document on a smartphone, or the customer wants to sign in their own language. You can simply click the picture and then upload it. So all these features you see are very particularly developed to solve problems. Now I'll save this configuration here. Yeah, I'll also activate the WhatsApp and SMS notifications, again doing the same thing. There's one more feature that we want to put the spotlight on. Today we are also launching the Prioritize Aadhaar for Invitee feature, where this is one again developed basis the feedback that we received from our client, where the client wanted to not give this option to their branch manager or the customer to choose signs on their behalf. They wanted to direct them to use a particular signature type. Maybe they're only interested in getting the biometrics thumb scan. They're not interested in getting the OTP. So such kind of backups and pretty organized guidance can be given to your staff by prioritizing which kind of Aadhaar do they want to take, right? Simply, you don't have to give them all the options. You can just give them biometric thumb scan one try, and you can place the order. In which order do you want the signatures to happen, right? And that order will be followed. Say, for example, I've given biometric thumb scan the first order and OTP the second order. So you will see the biometric thumb scan option first, and then we'll be able, we will be able to do it on the OTP. Then the option will come in the second try, right? Similarly, if all these options are exhausted, then you will be able to move on to the virtual signature. The purpose of it is to guide your staff and the customers in such a way that you will be able to prioritize your required e-sign type, right? This was also highly requested. So now I'll save this configuration, just tweak the Aadhaar e-sign because I only want the biometric e-sign to happen and not all these. And I will save this configuration. Moving on to the last signature type. Basically here, the signature type will be for the company, correct? We will have the MFIs who are going to sign the entire document. And here, if you have one single person who keeps on signing the document one after the other, it takes a lot of time. To save on this time and efforts of the of your employees, and to disburse more loans in that time which is saved, we've introduced a couple of e-sign types called automated virtual sign and a doc signer. So it solves for a bigger problem than just saving on time and efforts. It also will make the documentation unified. You will be also be able to configure the signatures in the workflow, and it will be done in real time. You don't have to wait for somebody to come and then open the link, and once they see and then they sign. So all this dependency can be eliminated totally by using automated virtual sign or doc signer. So automated virtual sign is a virtual sign only that you set up in the backend. link it to the workflow by using a username and a password. And DocSigner basically is an organizational based signature where you procured a DocSigner in the name of your company, save it against a password. Right? Once you save it. Yeah. So that's about it. Now I'll move on to the next step. The last step is finalizing the document flow, where you will customize the coordinates where you want the signatures to appear, right? So here you will customize it. You will drop the signature coordinates where you want it to be. You can select the invitees and simply click on all pages. So this is just a one-time activity that I'm doing. Right. So now you can see all the signatures are placed on all the pages. Once I save this, I'll be able to run the workflows and create documents and send it in real time to the customers. But before I move ahead, I'll just give you a quick recap of what we did. We selected multi-merger options and uploaded to couple of documents. We merged it on the platform itself, and then we affixed the revenue stamp. In the second stage, we enabled request signing order. We saw how signature types can be picked up. We enabled WhatsApp and SMS notifications. We also enabled local language support. We enabled face capture, GPS capture. So all these features are also optional. You can customize it as per your needs. Then moving on, we saw how the virtual sign, how you can configure the virtual signatures. We also saw how for countersigning the document automated doc signer is relevant. So now I'll save the workflow. Here you can see the workflow. I will quickly download the API payload to show you how easy it is and how simple it is to run your workflows through API also. Very few parameters. You can see my screen, right? The API payload. So here you can see you just have to pass the profile, the workflow ID, add the files, name the document, and add additional files if any. Post which you just have to pass on the details of the customers. The customers are going to be dynamic, right? Only those details needs to be passed. Everything else is already configured. That's the beauty of workflow. You have already organized your flow in such a way, just with limited parameters, you will be able to trigger the document. Okay, so since we usually present this through APIs, but as of now, I'll be showing it through the dashboard. I'll quickly click on the run button. See, all the configurations are already done. I don't have to change anything. All I have to do is just upload the documents that I selected before. This will be passed in real time using your LOS. So your LOS will do the job. This will not be a manual process once the integration is done. I'll upload the document. In the invitee section, all I have to do is pass on the details of the customer. So I will be the applicant here. Take me as the member who has come for a loan. So I'll just use my phone number. The best part is the system allows you to use the same phone number for all your members. So eliminating the requirement of having phone numbers, because we've seen this as a challenge in the MFI sector that women may not even have smartphones and phones, right? So this acts as a solution for that problem as well. So the first one will be the applicant. We've already configured the signature type. Everything is well configured. All you have to share is the details. The second person will be the co-applicant or the guarantor or any witness that you want. So I'll again use a phone number. Yeah. So now the signature type is again already configured. For automated doc signer, I'll use the email ID that is linked with that organizational sign. Yeah. So we are done. Now I'll click on next. Just a minute. Yeah. Let me just use my email ID for this. Yeah. So now I've done all the I've added all the details. I'll just click on send invitation. Because of request signing order, it will be sent one after the other. So I have received the notification. Let me see if I've received this on WhatsApp or not. Yeah. So this is how the link looks like on WhatsApp. Through SMS, we can also send it in Hindi language. This again is developed for MFIs, where your customers can see it in the Hindi language, and we are also working on other languages. For now, you'll see the messages in Hindi. With WhatsApp, you will be able to click on the link here. Since I'd already configured the local language support, I will be able to see the screen where I can choose from the signature types that are, I can choose from the languages that are available. I can go ahead and select Hindi here. I'm not sure if all the members on the call can understand Hindi. Just for the demo purposes, I'll continue with the this language. Here you can see the document. You can also download the document, see how many invitees are there. I'll click on Aage Badhe. So this will show you the signature types. And you can read this. आप अपने दस्तावेज पर sign कैसे करना चाहेंगे? All this you can choose your preferred e-sign type. So I'll be signing using Aadhaar e-sign. I'll click on Aage Badhe. So it will capture the GPS location. It will also capture my picture.
Supriya, you'll have to turn off your Zoom video for this to work.
Okay, yeah. Yes, thanks, Aditya. So we have the photo now. Now I will select phone per, so there are a couple of options here. Phone per OTP, ungliyon ka scan, aankhon ka scan, chehra pramanikaran, right? So I'll go ahead and do ungliyon ka scan, that is biometric e-sign. So this is the consent that will again reflect in the audit trail also. So इस checkbox और दस्तावेज sign करे button पर click करके. So you are in general authorizing that you voluntarily agree to Aadhaar e-sign. So that consent is recorded and you will be taken to the NSDL site. One of the interesting features again that Leegality has is the backup ESPs to ensure your business continuity. In case NSDL is down for any reason, we'll be re-triggering the link to Verasis. And if Verasis is down, then there's a backup of CDSL also. So you can make use of that feature as well. I'll just enter my Aadhaar details. Just a minute. Yeah, so I have the device with me. I'm using Mantra MFS 100. I will scan this. Yeah, so now I'll click on the consent and I'll click on the capture button. Just a minute. Yeah, it was not properly connected. Right. I'll just capture. Yes, it's successfully captured. Now the link will be triggered to the second member. So let me, so you must have used the biometric device at least once, but this is how it looks like, the biometric device. Yeah.
So Supriya, we've just received a question that we can answer right away. Can we change the language during the signing process? So the simple answer is yes.
Yes.
That button will always be there throughout, except on the NSDL page. It will be there throughout every legality, like place where legality, like the legality flow is happening. And you can change it at any point in time. For MFI journeys, we found most of them are assisted. So your field or branch official has that option in case they select a wrong language and they need to change it. It can be done in like 1 second. Yeah, sorry, Supriya, you can go ahead.
No problem, Aditya. So I've received the link for the second sign, but let me join using my phone so that everybody will see the journey from the phone as well.
Right. Meanwhile, I think there are two questions we answered via text, but we'll just recap them for people who may not have seen the text. The first question was whether the demo itself includes e-stamping as well. So in this demo, we've showed you digital revenue stamping because this is like the most common thing in MFI journeys. But at the same time, we do support regular e-stamping in 29 states and union territories as well. The second question was, is capture of fingerprint allowed by the RBI? Short answer is yes. In the Aadhaar biometric mode, it's simply an authentication. There's no storage of the biometric data on any server, either legalities or yours. And the mode of this has been specifically provided by IT Act and CCA guidelines. And the legality fingerprint sign also does not store fingerprint data or process the data. We simply replicate your current physical process of affixing fingerprint in a digitally authenticated, digitally compliant way. So thank you for those questions. Helps deepen the webinar as well.
Yeah. So Aditya, I hope you're done with answering the question.
Yeah, I'm done. I was waiting. I was just while you were setting up the.
I am unable to log in from my phone, so I'll present this on the screen itself. Just a minute.
Supriya, just switch to the other tab.
Yeah. Sorry, wait a second. Yep, I have the link. Yes. So I've just copy pasted the link, and here I can see the preview page where similar to what I've done for the first sign. Now all I'll do is click on proceed. So here we'll see how the auto switch will work. So the new feature that we are launching that I just talked about while configuring the workflow, I'd selected the Aadhaar e-sign as my priority, and within Aadhaar e-sign, I've only selected biometric sign. Right? Once I click on proceed, it will only show me the biometric sign. I won't see any other option in spite of virtual sign being enabled. So this is because the feature that we've enabled, right? Now I'll click on sign document button. Here it will take me to the NSDL site, but I don't want to sign using the biometric device. Let's take an example that I'm facing some issue, my device is not working. So I'll click on cancel. Yeah, I'll click on cancel. Now it will take me to the preview page again. I'll click on proceed. So I get 2 retry attempts. So the backup ESP that I was talking about, you can see Verasis is up now. So now I'll proceed ahead. Yeah, so I've exhausted my 2 retry attempts. Now I can see the virtual sign. I will move ahead with the virtual sign. Here, OTP will be triggered to my phone.
So the auto refresh that Supriya just showed you, today is the first time we are showing this in public. Till now, if such a scenario arises, let's say the biometric didn't scan properly, or let's say retry attempts, they tried 5-6 times, there would be a manual break in the process. Sometimes there would be a drop off completely and revert back to physical. With this, it automatically switches the people on the ground between the various permitted modes. Supriya, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've just entered the OTP and now I can access the signing page where I can scribble my signature using the draw option, or I can affix a fingerprint using my biometric device. HD quality image will be captured and affixed on the document. Then there's an option to upload your signature. You can either upload the image of your signature, or you can directly capture it using, this is very handy when you're using the app, or if you have the signatures already stored, right? So upload virtual sign is also super useful. I'll move ahead with affix fingerprint. I will just use the same device. This is how the image of the fingerprint is captured. I will click on proceed. Here the consent gets captured. I'll click on sign the document button. Now, once signing is done, I'll quickly move to the initial tab where we'll wait for just a minute. I'll again have to stop sharing, sorry. Yeah, I'll share again. So we'll wait for the authorized signatory to sign. So in just a span of 10 seconds, the authorized signatory has already signed. I just wanted to switch the tabs. For some reason, I was not able to. So here you can see everybody has signed the document. Once everybody has signed the document, you get a message from Leegality saying that everybody has signed the document, and you get the document URL in text SMS. So if the member is using a feature phone, they'll receive the text SMS, or you can receive, if you're using WhatsApp notifications, then you'll get a link like this. Everybody has signed the document. The signing process has been completed. You can download the audit trail here, and you can download the test document here. So let me open up the test document. Just a minute. I don't know. Yeah, I will also receive it on my mail, so I'll just show it from here. Yeah, so this is the test document where everybody has signed the document. Aadhaar e-sign is done. You can see the Aadhaar watermark, and then my secure virtual sign is this one. And the signature is done through automated doc signer. So that's how everybody will receive a digitally signed copy in real time once the documentation is done, once the signing is done. The audit trail. The audit trail is your single amount of truth where all the evidences will be collected and all the checkpoints are recorded, right? Like the name of the document, your document hash, status, the stamp details. We've used revenue stamp, so that details. Who has triggered the document? Who has signed you first using which signature type, right? Biometric fingerprint. So my face capture is done, my GPS location is captured. Then my Aadhaar certificate details are captured. Also, so I'll also show you the results of Aadhaar verification. It was successful, which is why we were able to sign. So then the consent, which was recorded in the local language, it's all recorded here. You can also see the co-applicant has signed. You can see the automated e-sign has happened. All the IP address is also recorded. Lastly, the authorized signatory that has signed using doc signer is also recorded here. And last but not the least, it also says who have received the notifications with completely signed document here. It gets signed by Leegality. We act as a tech witness in case of conflicts. So it is a complete evidential document in its own. So this is what we offer. Yeah, that's it from my end. We have Sa-Dhan here on the call, who is the director of product. He'll be helping us to understand how face authentication using Aadhaar e-sign works and geofencing. Over to you, Siddhant. Sid,
Yes, I think we also received a question about showing face match authentication. So Siddhant will be showing us the new Aadhaar face authentication.
Am I audible, Aditya?
Yeah, you'll have to mute one of your mics. I think you're logged in through your phone and laptop. One of them you'll have to mute.
Yeah, I'm just doing that. Just give me 30 seconds, Aditya.
Till the time Siddhant I mean, I have a question, very basic question. Is it very cumbersome to do?
What is cumbersome? Like which part of the process?
The process itself. Is it very cumbersome to do and time taking or what?
Do you mean the signing process or configuration from the MFI end?
Everything, the whole
Everything.
process.
So I think.
Answer this, Aditya?
Go ahead, Supriya.
Yeah. So hi, I'm not sure who has asked this question, but to answer your question, we get this a lot. Is the process cumbersome? Will we be able to do this? And how are other MFIs doing it, right? So this is not at all cumbersome. The activities that I showed you took so much time because it was a one-time activity to actually build up the workflow. Our dedicated account manager will support your team and guide you as to how to build the workflows. Once it is done, the signing flow is super easy. I'll also take 2 minutes, Aditya, if you permit, to show Samasta's video here.
Sure. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
So Priya, by the way, we are good to go. We can show the face authentication demo, by the way.
Yeah,
So
I'll just take 2 minutes. That will answer the gentleman's question as to how difficult or is it cumbersome. It is super easy. The signing happens in just over 1 minute. You can see that in the flow that I'm going to show.
Perfect. Let's do that.
This is the video. Again, Samasta is our client for the, it's using us for their JLG piece, and they've incorporated both Aadhaar OTP and biometric sign. So I'll be showing you the biometric flow once again. So they are on Craft Silicons. They are using Craft Silicons LOS. They are using their Glow app. In this video, you'll see how Samasta's branch officers have executed their JLG documents. So in every app, there's a section for digital services. In this, they called it e-service, through where they'll click, and once they click it, they'll be able to see the document which requires e-sign. This is all happening in their application only and done through their branch managers. Yeah, so they'll select this document. This document is fully populated. It consists the revenue stamp, and it says where the customer has to sign towards the right-hand side. Everything is already configured using our workflows, which is the one-time activity like I demonstrated. Now, all they have to do is just click on proceed. Being an assisted journey, it's very easy for the customers to do it. The customer just has to, this will be again assisted by the branch manager. They just have to keep their finger on the biometric device. The Aadhaar number has to be inserted. and within just couple of clicks or over 3 clicks, the document is signed. That's it. That's it, sir. It didn't even take a minute to sign the document. Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, over to you, Sa-Dhan. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Supriya. Thanks for that wonderful demo. So, hi everyone. Thanks for taking out the time to join us. So, as you've seen, using the solutions that we've been deploying in the MFI industry over the last few years, we've completely transformed the industry, both in terms of the user experience that your signers get to look and feel, as well as real business outcomes, right? Such as driving additional revenue or saving time, right? But that doesn't mean that we are resting on our laurels. We are still looking to push the boundaries, push the envelope to see how we can further drive business outcomes, reduce costs, as well as improve the customer experience, right? So that brings us to new features and capabilities that we constantly add to the portal. And the first one that we want to talk about, one that's something we are really excited about, is the Aadhaar face authentication. Right now, as Supriya already talked about, Aadhaar e-sign has completely transformed how documents are signed in India. This is primarily via OTP-based authentication and biometric-based authentication. Right. So these two methods of authentication have really helped scale Aadhaar e-sign in the country. However, they do have some limitations, right? With OTP authentication, there is a requirement that the Aadhaar is linked to a mobile number, and a mobile number that's actually available at the time that the e-signing is happening. Which we know is not always the case, right? Especially if you're dealing with the MFI industry. With biometric e-sign as well, Supriya very rightly called it the hero of this ecosystem, and it very much is. But for all its advantages, the biometric Aadhaar e-sign also has certain limitations or drawbacks. The main one being that you actually need a licensed device, a hardware device that you need to have wherever the e-signing is happening, right? So you will need a registered biometric device in all your branches. For example, if you're doing branch-based signing, which is a logistics issue, both in terms of managing managing devices across the country, as well as a very direct cost implication. Right. So to help solve these things, the various players in the ecosystem, that is UIDI, the CCA, ESPs like NSDL, and ourselves, we are very excited to roll out a new capability, which is facial authentication in Aadhaar e-sign. Right. This allows customers to perform Aadhaar e-sign by authenticating themselves using their face, which is done via their smartphone camera. Right. There is no specific hardware required here. You don't need a separate device. All you need is an Android smartphone. Right. So with that, let's dive in and actually see how this works. So just allow me to share my screen and we can just quickly see how this works. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
I think I need permission to share my screen. Can you grant it, Aditya?
Let me check. I can.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So as I mentioned, to use this kind of e-sign, all you need is an Android smartphone, right? So what you'll need is either our SDK, which can be integrated in your own mobile app, or you can use our Leegality helper app that's available for download via the Play Store. Right. So we are going to quickly open up a signing link on our helper app and see how the journey looks like.
Just to clarify, although it's probably clear, this would be on your MFI side app or MFI side device. Customer does not need to download all this.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification, Aditya. So the journey is largely similar to what Supriya already showed us, right? So the first step is document preview. Somebody asked whether you can change language. Yes, you can. You can change to any language at any step of the journey. Once you've previewed the document, you click on proceed, where the customer can then select which type of authentication they would like to choose. Again, this is only depending on how many modes you have enabled in your journey. So let's look at facial authentication here. You provide consent and click on sign document, after which you'll be taken to the ESP's environment for Aadhaar authentication. Okay, now here the journey is largely similar to the biometric Aadhaar e-sign that Supriya showed us already. First, there's a pop-up with terms and conditions that have to be accepted. Then we enter your Aadhaar number. This will be the Aadhaar number of your customer or the signer. Once you've done that, you are ready to authenticate yourself using face capture. You click on the capture face details button. I'm being asked to blink. And that's it. We see a message saying that face captured successfully. Please click OK to continue. Right. And we can submit our request. And that's it. We have the signed document. Right. So this is a super fast way of e-signing. There is no dependency on OTP delivery. There is no dependency on any biometric hardware. And we really expect that this will drive greater outcomes for MFIs and Indian businesses generally in terms of reducing cost and enhancing the experience of the Aadhaar e-sign. Right. So that's it in terms of the demo for Aadhaar face authentication. And we can move on to another demo of a newly launched feature. But maybe before that, we can pause and take questions.
There's one question directly related to face match, face capture, face authentication. The information, what information is returned from UIDAI during the face authentication?
So that's a very good question. The answer is that we only get the signer's certificate information when Aadhaar face authentication happens. So we get the name of the signer, we get certain identifying criteria such as their title, which is the last 4 digits of Aadhaar, their gender and their year of birth, which is all embedded in the digital signature certificate. The actual face was captured during the authentication journey is not shared back with us, right? That's a core part of the security architecture, the regulatory architecture here, right? That data, that sensitive data remains with UIDAI, and that authentication is done entirely between UIDAI and NSDL.
Right. Thanks, Sid. The second question is, can face capture be taken through a mobile camera or do we need special devices?
Right. So as we saw, we don't need any special device here. The face capture happens through your Android phone selfie camera itself. Right. That's the whole USP of the feature, that you don't need any separate hardware.
Great, Sid. Thanks.
For now, though, you do need an Android device. It doesn't work on any other laptop or iOS device.
Got it. And are we building support for other devices for this, or is it just an API level restriction from UIDAI?
Yeah, this is a API level restriction by UIDAI. So currently it's only available on Android. As soon as the ecosystem itself is upgraded to, laptops or iOS services, we'll introduce support at that time as well.
Great, Sa-Dhan. Thank you so much. There's another question, not strictly related to this, but before you come to geofencing, we can quickly answer it, which is
Sure.
which biometric device will work with a Linux machine? I believe SecuGen devices do work, but can you give us an idea of, is there support for more machines for Linux down the line?
We currently know that devices work with Linux. If you want to use the Aadhaar biometric e-sign, we also support the Mantra MFS 100 in Linux environments for our virtual biometric journey, right? Which is also something that Supriya showed you. So depending on which kind of e-sign you use on Linux, we have devices that are compatible with each kind of e-sign.
All right. Okay, Sid, then over to you for geofencing and smart team.
Perfect. So let me just switch back to my desktop for that. One sec.
Yeah.
Is my screen visible, Aditya? And am I audible?
Yes, Sid, it's visible.
Perfect. Let me just fire up my desktop and then we can get into it. Yeah, cool. So another feature that we'd like to talk about here is geofencing. So when we build our product, we constantly listen to our customers within the MFI industry and see what kind of solutions they'd need from us that would further enhance the legality experience. And one of the things that was constantly recommended to us, that was constantly requested to us, was that MFI industries and MFI companies generally need to ensure that signers are signing only within their branch premises, right? Why is this required? This is required because companies' internal policies are framed like that. There are lots of checks and balances that are present in a branch environment, and you want to make sure that that the signing happens in that designated zone only, right? So one of the things that our customers wanted us to ensure was some checks within our application to ensure that we could ensure that signing happened only within branches, right? So we went about this and introduced some checks to make sure that we could control this, and we are calling this geofencing, and we'd like to quickly show how this works. So without further ado, let me just fire up an agreement. So we already have an agreement here. Here we have created an e-sign request, which has a geofence. Now, what we've done is we have selected a particular address here, at which I'm not, right? So I have selected e-sign coordinates for this really important place in Mumbai called the Mount Mary Church, which is really far from where I am right now. So we put the GPS coordinates for that location in this e-sign request. So that's theoretically where our branch is. I'm really far away from that. And let's see how the signing journey works here. So here again, we do the standard steps of looking at a document preview and selecting an e-sign type. And then there was a GPS collection process, right? Now, as you can see, I'm getting an error here, right? I'm being shown that I'm somewhere near Adarsh Nagar. These are my exact latitude and longitude coordinates. And I'm getting a message here saying you are outside the permissible area. Please try again from a different location, right? So I'm not being allowed to proceed further. This is because I'm not within the designated area where I'm supposed to be. I'm not within in this theoretical example, I'm not actually at the branch where I'm supposed to be, right? So I can't proceed here anymore, right? I can only retry after I move to the branch. And again, if I do retry, then it will again try to fetch my location. And if I'm not at the relevant location, then it will deny me access to the document, and it will not allow me to sign the document, right? So that's a sneak peek into how this feature works. uh, all you need to do to enable this feature is configure this in your workflow, as Supriya already showed us, right? So in your workflow you will have an option, and we can quickly show you this as well. Right, in your workflow you will have an option where you can set the latitude and longitude as well as a permissible radius. Right, and when the signing happens, we will make sure that signers are allowed to proceed only if they are within that zone. Right, you can also leave this data open, so that when you are making an API call, you can pass the latitude and longitude of the branch from which signing needs to happen. So that way you can have a single workflow for the entire country. But then depending on the branch from which you are triggering the request, you can pass the latitude and longitude in the API call, and we'll ensure that the signer is within a certain permissible radius of that branch. So we hope that
So
this,
that actually that was the question we received. So it's good you answered it.
Yeah.
The question was, how can I use geofence functionality across different branches, which obviously have different GPS parameters?
Yeah.
So the simple answer is what Sid just said. Sid, if you can just repeat it just for completeness.
Yeah, sure. So as we just discussed, what you do is in here, what I did was I had frozen the latitude and longitude. If I leave this empty, what I can do is pass the latitude and longitude at the time of running the workflow. So every time you make an API call to us, at the time of signing a document, you can pass this data to us in the API call, depending on the branch which is triggering the request, right? So so it's as simple as that. You just pass this lat long data to us, and we'll make sure that the customer is in that branch.
Great, thanks, Sid.
Terrific. Cool. So these are some of the features that we have newly launched. These features have been built keeping in mind MFI customers. We are constantly listening to you. We are developing new features all the time that cater to your requirements, right? There are more things that we have that we can talk about. Things such as face match, where we can match the image captured in the signing journey against the image that you've captured during the KYC process. We have a new way of doing smart name verification, where we ensure that the customer whose Aadhaar is used for signing is the very customer whose records are there in your KYC database, and it's the same customer and not anybody else. And we are constantly innovating and creating new solutions for the MFI industry. And of course, if you'd like to know more, please reach out to us, and we can set up a tailored demo which covers everything that we've launched recently.
Thank you so much, Sid. And thanks, Supriya, for that demo. Supriya, Prateek, you are on this call. I'd request you to drop your contact coordinates in the chat. So in case you're interested in a personalized demo of this product, in case you are already a user and you have some follow-up questions, or in case you have some specific questions about anything we showed you, one, we have an open Q&A session now, but two, Supriya and Prateek will drop their contact coordinates in the box, in the chat box. You can take note of that and contact them. In case you lose those coordinates, just go to leegality.com. You can just fill up the contact form, and we can speak as well. Before we sign off, let's answer some questions.
Yeah, now open to this all to ask questions. Couple of people, they have written something in the chat box. So
right, I think the question, so a lot of the chat questions we had answered during the demo, and via text as well, but there's a new question, fresh one we received asking about our payment collect feature and what is it, whether it's for e-stamping. Sid, do you want to take that? I think they've heard about it, but they don't quite know the full details about it.
Sure. So, Supreet, yes, to answer your question, we do have a payment collect feature which you can use to collect money using an online payment gateway in our signing journey itself. So that it's a multi-purpose collection feature by design. You can, of course, use it for collecting the e-stamp value as well. That there is no restriction on that at all. So the short answer is yes. Currently that flow is built on top of Razorpay. So you will need to have a payment account with Razorpay, but we are also adding more payment gateways to our flow. If you're interested, do let us know, and we can set up a detailed walkthrough on that.
So anybody else wants to ask something? You have to unmute yourself, all of you. If you want to ask something, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi,
Yeah,
Shubham.
hi. Hi, Aditya. Hi, team. So I had a question related to geolocation capturing. So let's say that the customer has Symbian phone, and we go for an OTP authentication through OTP, right? So how this geo fencing will happen in that case when a phone is a Symbian and it's just the OTP that has been shared by the customer. So how we are going to do that in that case if someone is not going through link and website? So how we are going to capture it then?
So Shubham, at the very base of it, the customer will definitely need a smartphone, which can open up a signing link on a website. So that is something that is needed if you want the customer's device to be used for signing, right? So if your customer doesn't have an Android phone, then that will be a problem. However, what we often see is that if your customer base does not have smartphones, then what you can do is you can get your agents to carry an Android device like a tablet, or you can have those devices in your branch and then carry out signing within those devices, right? So very commonly in the MFI industry, signing actually does not happen on the customer's own device, but on a device carried by your agent, or a device that belongs to the MFI which is in the branch, and then the geofence happens based on the location of that device and not the device held by the signer.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So we have another question. This is what happens if UIDI goes down? How can e-sign continue in such a scenario?
Right.
Sid or Supriya, do you want to take this? Yeah.
Sure. So again, that's a very good question, and that is something that does impact customers now. But one of the things that we've done is the Aadhaar first feature, which Supriya demoed today, right? Where what we are now doing is we provide you the capability to switch to a virtual sign which is not dependent on the UIDI at all. So what you can do is do the UIDI based Aadhaar e-sign as first attempt. But if for any reason UIDI is down, then after a certain number of attempts, you anyway get to sign using a virtual sign, right? So you'll be able to sign using virtual sign and get the signature done and have full business continuity even though UIDI is down.
Great. And in case a lot of people who are asking on text, in case the question is not fully answered, do send a follow-up there, or you can unmute and ask as well. One other question, how can I use the local language or regional language feature for different states? Again, I think that's like the branch question. And MFI operating across multiple states, they don't want to stick to one language. So how would they solve that problem?
Right. So here again, you have the option of passing the language to be used at the time you are making the API call, right? So depending on the area from which you are making an API call to us, you can send us the language to be used, and then the signers would by default see those languages. The other way to do this is to have a different workflow for each state with their own default languages, right? And if you do that, then you don't even need to handle it via API. You just call the relevant workflow, which has the correct default language saved, right? So that's very easy. There are multiple ways to achieve it, and you can have the journey in the language that you want, depending on the area you are in.
Right. Thanks, Sid. So there's another question. I'll take this one. Does the virtual sign or the secure virtual sign hold the same legal acceptance compared to a Aadhaar e-sign? So there are two things here. One is validity. That's a simple yes or no question. Can I use this sign type or not? And the second is, how easy is it in a RBI audit? How easy is it in a court of law? In terms of validity, the secure virtual sign is equal, identical to an Aadhaar e-sign for 95+% of documents, right? So your basic JLG loan agreement, basic forms that you use in the journey, secure virtual sign will be equally valid, that yes, you can use it. It's not illegal if you use it. All right. The only exception is if there is a specific law or regulation which says that you need to digitally sign this, or you need to have a signature as the mode of execution. In our experience, this is not very common in the MFI space right now. Right. So that's on validity. Now, the second part is enforcement. So Aadhaar e-sign is obviously the gold standard. Aadhaar e-sign, digital signature tokens, doc signer. These are the gold standards of enforcement. So not only are they technically the most secure, they also have legal presumptions of validity under the Indian Evidence Act as well. So a secure virtual sign is not as easy to enforce as an Aadhaar e-sign. At the same time, because it also relies on traceable, trackable authentication, it's definitely easier than a physical sign, right? So what we found MFI is doing is they keep Aadhaar as the first option. They keep different modes of Aadhaar as the first option. Then in the worst case scenario where nothing works, they switch to secure virtual sign, which now you can do automatically via Aadhaar first. They switch to secure virtual sign because one, it's better than physical. They don't have to deal with the operational issues of physical. Two, even on a security level, it's easier to enforce than a physical. Obviously not as good as Aadhaar, but if your choice is between no Aadhaar, like doing an no Aadhaar, where Aadhaar is not working, and your choice is between physical or virtual, then virtual becomes a very compelling option, especially for MFIs, because you want operational continuity as well. I hope that answers the question. Short answer again, yes, it's as valid for 95% plus documents. It's slightly less easier to enforce than Aadhaar. That's why most MFIs use it as a backup. So ultimately, your legal team would need to take a call, but this is our interpretation of it. I hope that answered the question. Right.
Yeah, I think there is no question, but I do have a question that, all this data, it will be very basic question. All this information, where will it be loaded in your in your, what do you call it, that technology, or it will be in this members one?
So I think you are talking about the data that actually populates the agreement. So customer's name, customer's address, all the fields in a template, right? There are two ways to do it. You can do it manually at the branch level through Leegality, or automatically we have API that you can directly from the members LOS or LMS system or any other data system, the data can be pushed directly there. So it will be error-free, pure data coming straight from the MFI organization itself.
So
where they have
it will be loaded on their server, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It will just be pushed to Leegality for creation of the document and signing of the document.
Okay.
Sa-Dhan, you can correct me if I'm wrong or if you want to add anything.
And the second thing is that how secure is this data?
Right. So at a basic level, we are ISO 27001 certified. We have multiple encryption standards. We have a very strict and comprehensive information security architecture. We work with many banks and many regulated NBFCs and MFIs who have all done an information security audit. So without getting into the nitty-gritties, we are very secure, vetted already by RBI regulated organizations, by SEBI regulated organizations. And we have the documentation. So if any member is concerned about it or needs to do that due check or due audit, we have all that technical information security data. Short answer is it's very secure and being used daily for lakhs of transactions very securely.
Okay. So I think, we don't have any question, and hopefully our members, they will take it forward with you. And for me, it is very good. Like, I have seen your work on the ground, but it was very detailed in your presentation, your description. It was very good and presented very well. And you have already given your numbers and in our chat box, so we can always refer to that one. Or else, Leegality is also Sa-Dhan's member. You can always write to the coordinator, like this North Zone, South Zone, wherever you are. You can write to the coordinator, or you can write to the head office to me. I will help you to link up with Leegality. Thank you, Leegality team.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sa-Dhan team, for this. Hoping this is the first of many.
Yes.
We will also share with you some material that your members may find useful,
Right.
that they can read. Something which we couldn't present because it would make the presentation too long.
Very
We'll
long.
share that with you within 24 hours of this session ending. But just
Oh.
a heartfelt gratitude from us to Sa-Dhan as well for organizing this.
Perfectly fine. Send it to Samita. Mark a copy to me.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I think there was one question on DPN. I have answered it in the chat. So whoever had asked it, you can just view the answer. But if you have any questions, please do you can contact us offline. Like, we can take you through it detailed. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.